everyone. Dive into Anchor Together, a captivating YouTube series that offers an intimate look into the extraordinary lives of seafarers and their families.
From long-standing maritime partnerships to new connections formed at sea, Anchored Together highlights the incredible journeys of those who navigate both the ocean and the relationships with passion and resilience. Get ready for an engaging twist with Anchored Together. Hi viewers, welcome back to another episode of Anchored Together. We have this wonderful couple with us today, Captain Yashwant Chhabra and his lovely wife Seema. So I think we start with Seema. Seema, tell us where are you from?
I'm from Delhi.
From Delhi,
And
okay.
I did my schooling and college also from Delhi.
Okay. And did you pursue then schooling and college with any professional work?
Yeah, I did nursery teachers training.
Very
And
nice.
then I taught in one school, Bluebells International, for 1 year before
Okay.
college.
Okay.
And after that, I was sailing with him, so I left everything. And then I got kids. I was looking after them.
Yes. So when you get married to a sailor, you can see your profession has to be put aside for a little while at
Yeah.
least till he decides to then come back ashore or pursues a career other than sailing. So Yashwant, you tell us about yourself. Where do you hail from, and what's your introduction would be today?
I was born in Delhi to an army officer, doctor's family, in Army Hospital, Delhi. But my full childhood and schooling was in Lucknow. And then after class 12, by some kind of circumstantial luck, I ended up joining T.S. Rajendra. I had no idea about Merchant Navy, but ended up joining Merchant Navy, and then have never changed career. Since 1976, I have been in various activities in Merchant Navy.
Excellent. That's what, about 4 decades.
Yes, almost five.
Almost 5 decades
Almost five.
in the shipping industry.
Yes.
And of course, he's done brilliantly well. He's had various positions other than sailing, and he's been ashore also for quite some time. And we will discuss his accomplishments in a little while. But in the meantime, we'll come back to Seema. So, Seema, you finished education. फिर पेरेंट्स ने कहा अब शादी कर लो.
नहीं, पेरेंट्स ने नहीं बोला, मैंने
अच्छा,
खुद ही
खुद ही कर लिया. अच्छा, पेरेंट्स को मौका ही नहीं मिला कुछ बोलने का. तो सीमा had decided that she is not going to get married. तो फिर आगे यशवंत जी आपकी जिंदगी में कैसे आए, और वो जब आए तो क्या माहौल था? How did it all happen?
Actually, it will become a Hindi movie, but let her tell.
We want it to be a proper Bollywood movie, so let's listen.
Actually, I met him in 1981, my sister's place, when I was there for my summer holidays.
Mhm.
And his ship was there at that time.
Where is this? In Bombay?
Mumbai.
In Mumbai,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And he came, we went to his ship once
Mhm.
for lunch, and I was very impressed seeing him in uniform.
Yes, I thought
So,
that uniform, actually people don't
Yeah.
talk about it much, but it is quite an impressive uniform. You know, when you see a guy, He's then confident and he approaches with,
Shorts and stockings in those.
yes, they were very, very, very. But I think the Merchant Navy has projected that image always of being,
Yes.
because it brings some more discipline. The person is uh, anchored, in life. अच्छा, फिर क्या हुआ? So
Yes,
his
उसके बाद
uniform
he
was
he
impressive
took
and
me out.
अच्छा,
Next day
okay,
we went for movie.
very nice.
We went to Taj for.
मतलब डेयरिंग आदमी है बड़ा,
Yeah.
शुरू से ही.
But then I was not sure how my parents will react. So I told him when I was going back to Delhi. So I told him not to write to me anything because there'll be lot of objection from.
Could be,
Uh,
yes, yes.
Then rest Yashwant will tell.
So
Oh,
the
rest was
It's a very-
interesting.
story unfolds.
So 81 to 84, there wasn't much. Then I think in 84, when her parents were asking her to see some boys for marriage or whatever, she wrote me a letter from a friend's house. Ki, are you serious? Now, I don't know if even today my boss says, are you serious? But it was something, a common question from then to now, are you serious?
Yes, yeah, yes.
So letters come from a friend's residence, and so I was in Lucknow on leave at that time, and I said, best thing is let's go back to Delhi and meet her. So we met in South X near Handloom House. We went to
Okay, now
Narula's.
just look at the detail. The handloom house. वो भी
Yeah,
Because he's a writer, so.
CP में था कहीं.
नहीं, South X.
South X.
South
Because
X.
I was doing my nursery teacher
I see,
training that time.
I see.
So we went to Narula's, and I said, I was serious enough, but you said don't write, don't call, and the families are known, so I couldn't. Okay, let's go ahead, and I'll tell your parents. No, you don't tell. I said, you tell. She said, I'm scared.
Who's going to tell now?
So she told, ask your father to write.
Ah.
My father, being an old timer, said, I'll write. But he had a very funny letter. I saw it later in life. He wrote to a brother, I understand both of them and blah, blah, blah. Tell your parents. And this concluding line was, if a proposal is made, it shall be duly accepted.
Aha. So back the ball was again in their court.
Yeah.
Ah.
And then there was no response from her side. Then I asked one of my Masi, check with her. Is she serious or not serious? I don't know. So pata chala ki she has been locked in home after that, not allowed to go out. So my father planned इसको चल के भगा लेते.
अच्छा, oh.
हाँ, तो मेरे को short leave ली SCI से
हाँ.
और भगाने गए थे.
अच्छा.
My father came from Lucknow, I went from here. कि इसको भगा लेते.
तो मतलब आपकी फैमिली वो राजपूत टाइप थिंकिंग बड़ी चलती थी मेरे ख्याल से. वो पृथ्वीराज तरह.
तो फिर पता चला her father had not been told, but in that time he got to know.
I see.
तो instead of भगाने की जगह हमारा रोकना हो गया.
अच्छा. Oh.
So that was in 84. So
right. You were saved from some battle scenes and all जैसे movies में. अच्छा.
It was a
so
very,
nice,
very
so
interesting.
Nice. So nice. So फिर शादी हुई तो you would have the first opportunity to go and sail. तो वो कैसा था?
It was very
feeling.
interesting. Very nice. I used to enjoy sailing.
Okay. So what was the best part of sailing?
Best part was to see so many places. Yeah, that was. And then we were together because there were many times when we used to stay alone. So sailing I used to like because I used to be with him at that.
Yes,
that was one of the reasons.
Yes. I think you got a lot more time on the ship together. And the good part about sailing I've seen is that there's no commuting. You work where you stay. So the person has a lot more time on their hands than say ashore. You are spending, if you work ashore, you don't have that kind of time that you would have on the ship. So that's a great place to be there when you are bonding years जब होते हैं. So that's yes.
So that was fun. We were on a fixed run. The first ship she sailed was doing Venezuela, Curacao, Venezuela. So we used to keep going out in Curacao every alternate trip.
That must have been a tanker of some kind.
It was a
Tanker.
tanker, the
Ah.
shuttle tanker.
But that time it was not so difficult.
We didn't have ISM code and all the paperwork.
Yes. And of course, even going ashore was a cakewalk, you know.
Huh.
There wasn't too many
No,
restrictions.
there was no
and,
security, nothing.
yes.
You just walk in and
And
walk
it
out.
was more or less, you know, if there was a married couple, they would have a little, everyone would be
I
understanding.
mean,
Yes,
in
they
those
must
days, Kamal, in
surely.
USA, most of the oil terminals had also almost zero security. You
Yes,
walked in and walked
yes,
out.
Yes.
And
And they were
now-
very close to townships.
Some of them
you
were
know.
closed.
Yes,
some of them were closed.
And you could almost walk into shopping centers from the ship, you
Yes.
know, that
Yeah,
kind of
I
thing.
remember one ship, the next one where we were, our daughter is named after that ship, Caribbean Star.
Ah,
So
Carrie
used
is
to-
her name.
Carrie,
Yeah,
yeah.
Carrie is named after that ship. So in Corpus Christi, she still remembers she had a favorite taxi driver, Lady Wanda.
Oh.
So then every trip to Corpus Christi, which was usually once a month or once in 1.5 months, she would be out the full time. Then just call Wanda and go. I
Right.
never got shore leave as chief officer, but then she would get me
Yes.
burgers and shakes and shopping and whatever. And
Yes,
the
there
final
were-
packing was always a big pain because I always had much more baggage than what we could carry.
That was the flip side of having shopping so accessible and so easy. Good. So, but then he must have been sailing, but you had to then settle ashore with the kids
Yes.
when they came. School वगैरह शुरू हुए and all. So, any instance where you felt okay, it would have been this job is a little difficult because he's away all the time and all the responsibilities on
Yes,
you
it
for
was
handling the
difficult.
children.
And that time there was no internet. Communication was a problem.
Big problem.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So sometimes if I have to ask him or consult him for something,
Mhm.
that time it used to be very bad. Although his parents were very supportive with me. So, but still,
So where
when
did you live
Carrie
at the
was sick,
time?
he was sailing at that time.
Oh.
So that was a time when I wanted him to be with him, but I was not able to communicate.
Mm. Yes. So where were you living at the time?
I was in Lucknow.
In Lucknow. Okay. Okay. So, but the joint family lived together or
It was not. It was partial.
partially joined?
Partially
Okay.
joined family.
Yes.
We
So
didn't
that
have
also
much.
has its advantages because you can maintain your, aloofness when you want, but you have a support system close by. Yes.
When we got our house, my mother did not want to shift.
Mhm.
So my father split himself. Daytime he used to go around doing his jobs and go to the old house.
Ah.
And the evening used to come and stay with her and help her out with whatever logistics were required.
Ah, yes.
So my father, she says, was very supportive.
Very supportive.
I think most families will have one or two persons who are, are available and are able to support. So
We didn't
it's
have
all
many,
good.
so
Yes. So now you have three kids, right?
Yes.
So what are the kids doing and how old are they?
Elder one is Carrie.
or Anukriti.
Anukriti.
Anukriti is.
She did her BDS, MDS. Now she's in public health.
I see. I see.
She's working for.
For some health consulting company. She's in Delhi. Because after doing MDS, she tried working as a dentist for 2 years and didn't like. Finally, she says, I don't like putting my hand and look into dirty mouth sometimes. I said, why didn't you think of it when you did finish BDS? So anyway, she went and did Masters in Public Health in TIS, a 2 full year course. And after that, now she's
Social
into public
sciences,
health.
Mhm.
She's into public health activities.
Yes. And she's in Delhi, is it?
She's
She's
at the
in Delhi.
moment.
She's in Delhi. And you have
Kriti, she's
twins.
twins.
Yeah, I always say how many children. I never say 3. I say 1 plus 2 because the next ones are twins.
a boy and a girl.
The boy and a girl. The boy is third officer. He is with DMECO. He just went a month back and joined the oil tanker, petchem tanker. He's somewhere in Corpus Christi
The
now.
merchant navy tradition continues, as you can see.
Yes. And his twin sister, she did graduation in hospitality, hotel management, as we say. But within 4 months, she started. She went out and started doing Zumba. And then I think for almost 6 to 8 months, she used to come and do Zumba in Marek's office. In fact, you were a first outside client other than in the society. So now she's a
Yes.
full-time Zumba instructor. She also does dance choreography, marriage choreography,
I
personal
see.
training. So she's a fitness expert and a choreographer and Zumba instructor.
So as you can see, professional training does not mean you necessarily follow that profession. You can diversify,
Oh yeah,
and
she's
both the girls
diversified.
here have diversified. So yeah, that's interesting.
No, then I want to add we have two Hazel and Bella are pet dogs.
Can't
They
forget
are
that.
also like children to us. So
Yes, yes. And what breed are these two?
they are miniature pinchers.
Ah, miniature pinscher. Very, they're small dogs, but very,
We are mother
very.
and daughter.
Aha.
Well, we have three generations, and the last generation you have one of them
Yes.
named Whiskey.
No, Scotch.
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 Scotch whiskey.
Scotch whiskey, if you like. Yes.
Named
So,
Scotch.
as you know, your career has unfolded. You went from sailing, you came ashore. So, give us a little bit of that. How things changed for you when you came ashore.
Okay, it was very simple. It's in 92, and when I was on leave, we realized she's pregnant at twins.
Mhm.
And then the thought was, who's going to look after twins?
Mhm.
My parents are old. We're the youngest in both our families.
Right.
So I started thinking, let's work somewhere ashore. And the easiest job I could look from sitting in Lucknow was working as a pilot in various ports. I got offers: Kandla, Mumbai, Chennai, Kochi. And then I said, Mumbai, Bombay, which was that time, sounds better because being a cosmopolitan city and center of shipping. So I joined Mumbai Port Trust as a pilot. And within a year, I had shifted to TS Chanakya as a nautical officer. From Mazagon, we went to Nerul in New Bombay. Later, we bought a house in New Bombay. And
So, one sec. When you moved from working on ships to ashore, was there? Did you bridge that gap through any additional learning, training courses?
initially, no.
Okay.
Initially, no, because they didn't need anything. I was on leave in November, and that was 93. Yeah.
For a
November
pilot's job, I
93,
guess
and
they
for
would train
pilot,
you.
I was with them in February 94.
Mhm.
So there wasn't much of gap required because there was a 6 to 8 months training in Bombay Port Trust.
Yes,
You
they
become-
would take care of that.
Yeah,
that
they
part.
take care of all that. So our twins were born in Mumbai Port Trust Hospital, Mumbai. But I realized that in pilotage, the progression and it was more of a hands-on job, not much on academics. And somehow I got attracted to go and do learning and training. So I joined TS Chanakya, where late Captain Subramaniam was the boss. My interview was done by him
The
and
Captain Subramaniam.
Captain
Harry
H.
Captain.
Harry
Yes.
Subramaniam. And late Captain Rivari were the two interviewers in the MMERT board. And both were saying, you joined LBS, he says you joined Chanakya. And I looked at the logistics, I joined Chanakya. And then it was just circumstances and luck and destiny. I didn't really plan much. Wallam was starting their own training center, and I get a call, join the training center if you'd be interested. So I started by doing civil work there, and then for 10 years I ran Wallam Maritime Training Center. Started from one course, and at the end we were doing about 18 courses there in the small place.
Mhm.
Then for 2 years, almost 2 years, I worked with executive at Samudra Institute of Maritime Studies. And most of the time I was doing navigational and safety training. Later I went into more diversified training of accident investigation and root cause analysis, and loss prevention. A lot of work I did was with Mr. Tony Fernandez. We went and attended courses with Loss Prevention Association of India.
Tony
How-
Fernandez has been a great mentor to you
Yes,
over
he
the
has
years.
been, and we
Huh?
worked a lot together.
Yes.
And then again, circumstances, I went and did manning for about 2 years. I was senior manager with the Vishis Mumbai on crewing department. Then got promoted as general manager crewing with V Ships MSI joint venture Singapore.
Yeah.
Did a short stunt with BP. Manning was interesting, but some of my interest was still academic. So I came back to QHSC and training under Captain Pradeep Chawla and Anglo Eastern. And I've done a long time there since I think 2006 till this
So
year.
he keeps drifting back into academics of some kind.
Academics was more interesting.
Yes, and eventually he did author these two books as well. So these two books, and we will talk about the books as well very quickly. But before we launch into the books, we want to talk to Seema about her pet work today, and that's something that's very interesting. So Seema, tell us what is keeping you employed, engaged, busy, everything now.
I'm a home baker.
Home baker.
So
Okay, this is okay. That will get everyone's mouth watering, but we'll definitely hear more about it. Yes, tell us. तो कैसे शुरू हुआ मतलब home baking how did it strike you?
actually, I was sailing on one ship where chief cook was very bad
Okay.
in making Indian food.
Challenges can bring out certain.
And he was a very good pastry chef.
Okay.
So we did a barter that I'll teach you Indian cooking, you teach me
Baking.
baking. So that's how I got into this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
So
I'll add on to that. Is Mr. Cardozo from Goa. He was a bakery chef in P&O Cruise Lines. For whatever reason, when P&O stopped taking people or went down, so he came on one of our tankers as a chief cook. So his baking and bread making and rolls and
Lovely.
continental
Very
food to an
good.
extent was good. But if you take off any Indian dishes, dal or sabji or something like that was atrocious.
failure.
Total
Okay.
failure. So that's how it started. She was sailing on board and said, she's been a very good cook, no doubt. All my life, I'd prefer to have food at home than go out.
So आपकी सेहत का राज जो है
हाँ.
सामने है
दोनों
तो
we both
ठीक
have
है.
body.
Good.
So that's how the barter took place on board, that she would cook and teach him. And she developed interest in baking. So she's not done any formal courses.
I see.
Initially.
Okay, to start with.
Yeah.
But
later,
then फिर वो develop किया आपने
थोड़ा बहुत,
अपने आप.
हाँ.
हाँ. तो ये लेकिन to be able to actually go out and sell your product is not easy. तो ये कैसे manage किया आपने?
Just by word of mouth.
Is it? अच्छा, within the community,
Yes,
friends
first,
वगैरह में.
yes.
अच्छा.
well, Capt, let me put this way. Once we had the Coldrake's first workshop long back. It's 2011 or 10 or something.
Yes.
Which was a half-day workshop followed by a packed lunch.
Uh-huh.
So I had suggested to you, why don't we give that contract to Seema?
Okay.
And then in that she had packed brownies.
Right.
And that's how the brownies got famous through you and Captain Halbe
Okay.
and stuff like
Yes.
that.
I remember Captain Halbe repeatedly ordering those
Yes,
brownies
yeah.
later on, you know.
Yes, he just still does. By the time he asked if she's around, I'd like to have about 10-12 boxes of brownies for Masa.
So any of you looking for brilliant brownies, you know who to contact. Contact me. I've taken up agency now of these brownies. So I know where the money is. So good. So any brownies, of course, you make very well. So कोई और केक है you find that very popular, वो particular like chocolate होते हैं.
Chocolate है, then theme cakes are there.
Theme cakes, okay. Theme cakes में क्या करते हो कुछ you design?
Yeah, recently I made Louis Vuitton suitcase.
Oh, suitcase, okay. So if you're a shippy who's just packing your bags to join the ship, तो वो cake मंगा के you can leave that
then
at home.
I made a money bag.
A money bag.
Cake.
Okay. That's for the wives, of course. Money bag, yes.
But I would add, what she also does very well is healthy cakes.
Healthy cakes.
Healthy cake. Without any cream and that, made in jaggery with different kind of
And
flours.
I use wheat flour.
People are so health conscious
cakes
now.
also.
Yes. Oh, gluten-free cakes
Gluten-free
also.
also, sugar-free cakes.
Okay. And eggless वगैरह तो वो
Eggless
standard
तो,
है वो तो. हाँ. So as you can see, there's huge variety and people are health conscious. So Seema has those offerings on offer as well. So just किसी को interest है, please, and you will see that sailors' wives who have learnt cakes from professionals can do a brilliant job, and their product will be flawless, is what I can tell you. And I've tasted those cakes, so believe me. Right. So, Seema, we'll switch back to Yashwant. And Yashwant, tell us a little about how you developed this book in particular. This was your first one,
This was the first one.
Mariner's Guide to Preventing Collisions. Any mariner who doesn't know how to prevent collisions is no mariner at all. So, definitely, it's something worth spending a couple of minutes.
So, a very interesting episode took place when I was the BTM instructor at Volume Training Center. I'd come across a quiz by Captain Roger Sims of Australian Maritime College, and I used that quiz in the first batch. And we got this Bhandarkar's ROR books, which were the only one available then for reference. We tried to answer. Only the second officer got all the answers right in restricted visibility, and including the instructor and the other three officers, one master, one chief officer, one third officer, we had them wrong. It was a guy named Karsi Gotla. So we switched positions. I said, Karsi, you please come up on the board and explain where we went wrong. Now, he fortunately had done his second mates from AMC Australia and had been Captain Roger Sim's student himself. And then he explained where we had messed up. We did not follow Rule 19. We followed the normal rules in sight, also in restricted visibility. And then moment we wrote, keep your course and speed, we got 0 marks. So that was like a kick on my backside, and I went into a bit of depression for a few days. And she was asking me at home, what happened? I said, I'm the course instructor and I failed. So that is...
But it's very hard to accept it,
Yeah,
for a
yes.
course instructor. It's
No,
quite
that's
a...
fine. I also said I have already done 3 years as master. Those were 9-month contracts. So I said almost 25 months sea time as master, including VLCCs, have gone up in North Sea into fog. And I'm not shocked that I did not know Rule 19. Lucky nothing happened. How would it have been in a court of law to say that I don't know my subject?
Yes.
Next question, am I so bad, or is the system somewhere so bad that how did I pass? I cleared all my exams in India,
Something
all
to
at first
ponder on,
attempt.
yes.
Started using this quiz in the various courses, and I found 75-80% people, 90% failure rate, sometimes 100% failure rate on this one situation of restricted visibility.
Restricted visibility, yes. It's a very tricky situation, actually.
Yeah.
Even to decide whether that situation prevails or not, to start with.
So over the years, I modified the BTM course to make it a little more academic, and I said before we take people on the simulator, let's get the principles clear on watch keeping and call rigs. So our first 2.5 days of the course was only familiarizing with the simulator, simple exercises, and spending more time on the academics. And then from 2.5 days onwards, switching more to exercises where we had all these situations, which was very well received by all the participants. And that's how it triggered to me that no book is explaining these things so well. And then I thought, okay, let me. So there weren't many publishers around. Initially, I asked Captain Bhandarkar of Bhandarkar Publications, and we published a book by the name of Collision Avoidance Principles and Practices. My good friend Kamal reviewed the entire book. In fact, the cover was designed at Marix. We had some differences. Myself and Captain Bhandarkar, and the book got shelved. So that was 2018 and 19. Then another 2 years before we could think of launching it under a new cover. So this is on since 11. Now it's 24. When I was master on that ship, and that's all snow on deck. It's a voyage from Hammerfest in Norway down to Denmark in March 2009. And the subset picture,
Restricted visibility, which is
subset picture is inside a snowstorm.
there they are. Yes, of course. So this book was the first one you launched, and then after a few years you got this one going, Navigational Watches.
Yes.
It's the whole entire name is A Mariner's Guide to Navigational Watches. So tell us a little about this.
That's a more interesting story. I got an assignment from Nautical Institute, courtesy my boss that time, and now also Captain Pradeep Chhabra. Nautical Institute UK gave me one of their books called Bridge Watch Keeping, a Practical Guide to Review and Revise. And that review and revisions took quite a while, almost 4 years. By the time they had change of mind, they in fact accepted and gave me a contract as author for the new edition. Then they had change of guard at the Nautical Institute. Probably the new man on top didn't like my name on the book as an author. I think that's what happened. I don't have it in writing. And then they kind of shelved the project. So I had done about 75% changes or redone the book. Then I thought it's so much a wasted effort if it doesn't get published. Then I went back to my good friend Captain Kamal Chadha and I said, this is the situation. 25% is copy. I'll have to redo it because plagiarism should not come into effect. And maybe you could also publish this one. So then this got published towards the end of
Yes.
2018.
Says first edition, April 2018.
Right? We've not yet revised it. But before it could be formally launched and things could be done, we got COVID. And after that, it kind of got shelved.
Yes.
It kind of just got shelved, never really got marketed. So that's the story of this book.
Right.
So this covers the entire gambit of bridge watch keeping, and collision avoidance is separate.
Yes. So now that we discussed some of the heavier stuff, let's go back to a little lighter mode over here. Seema, now the two of you, when you decide, okay, it's time to go on a holiday, so what kind of preferences do you have for a holiday? India,
Actually,
abroad?
Abroad mainly.
Abroad mainly, okay.
And then I prefer USA.
USA, okay. Any particular reason? You have people
I
in the
don't
USA,
know.
yeah. The country is so good
Yeah.
to, so much more to do. Right. So, but then, if he says somewhere else, what's your choice now?
His choice is always like US only.
Again, US. So there's no, argument.
I
there.
love Singapore,
Acha.
but of late I say let's go to somewhere where I can drive. It's more fun to hire a car and drive yourself than to be dependent on public transport. So we've done that a few times now.
Are you comfortable driving in the US?
Yeah, I learned during COVID times.
I see.
So we later hired a car from San Francisco. We drove right up till north of Seattle till the Boeing factory and came back via Portland.
Okay.
Then next time we had a car in Las Vegas, went to Grand Canyon and back. And the third time was in third time was in Miami. We went and drove around Grand Canyon. So it's a barter. One day is sightseeing and driving, and next day is shopping. So why she loves USA?
Now we know.
Why she loves USA? There is no baggage restriction. Or the baggage restriction is less. You can carry 2 bags up to 23 kgs.
Yes.
And I think for shopping, I think USA is still the best. Okay. Europe and Japan are highly expensive. So you can have fun. And they're more fun-loving country. I mean, the amount of restaurants and outlets and that is superb.
So much more to do over there.
And language is not a problem.
Yes, which is a big plus. Which is a big plus. And then if you
else,
learn to drive over there, then it really becomes easier to move around.
Beautiful.
Which you might find difficulty in driving in countries where you don't know the language.
I've driven in Spain a lot.
Okay.
As an auditor, I've hired a car and driven across, right across the north coast of Spain.
I see.
When I was alone, and Google Maps works fine. And last time we were in Spain, we went for a cruise. So we stayed in Barcelona for 3 days. And we had a car for 2 days, and we just made a road trip to Santander and all and back, purely to show her how beautiful the roads there are and what fun it is to drive.
Yes.
When you're going at 100, 120 kilometers in good discipline, and it's nobody honks, signals are followed.
Yes.
Fantastic it is. Here it's a nightmare.
Let's not even start over here. That's a different story altogether. So nowadays, people are big on organic food. So because we feel it is less affected by pesticides, and it is not genetically not tampered with, etc. So what's your opinion? Do you think organic food is really superior to the regular food that we come across? Seema, you tell us.
I don't know much, but
There is a plus and minus on it, because there's a lot of write up which says not necessarily, but we have not heavily gone into it. But what we have done over time is we have shifted from wheat to more of what is called millets.
Millets. I
Then
see.
we
I
have
see.
reduced sugar at home almost
And
to minimum possible level. We started using jaggery.
Uh-huh.
That's what we have done. But
Okay.
The
But you have
organic-
made small changes.
Yeah, small
Small
changes,
changes,
but
but-
not totally into organic.
Okay. But yes, we are more becoming
We are brought up-
conscious of health, and making sure the right food is comes to our tables and to our children, etc.
And
And in your case, to the dogs also.
yes,
The dogs also have to be fed right.
dogs have to be fed, and what we get from them is, I think, Godrej soup type of food, which is bones and flesh mix, which they really enjoy.
Oh,
But they
okay.
like variety. Some days they get fed up and don't eat. Then they need something like tandoori chicken.
See, the dogs are also very selective, and the dogs also become foodies over there.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But apart from food, what I've done right from childhood and I still do is have all my children get into some kind of an exercise. They have gone and done karate. I do still do a lot of cycling and exercise. Younger daughter is a Zumba instructor. Son is also into exercising. Elder daughter to some extent when she gets time, but at least she's she does a lot of yoga. She learned yoga. I said, now you can also become yoga instructor. So we have a little studio.
Everybody
at
in
home.
their home is some kind of instructor, I see.
No, we have a little. The terrace was
Studio.
converted to a Zumba studio.
Oh, that's the advantage you have. Yes, you
So-
can hold classes over there.
So the
and
younger
exercise.
daughter is holding classes there all the time.
Mhm.
So it's you just walk in sometime on the quiet and just do one session of Zumba.
Great. So we spoke about your professional lives, we spoke about your personal lives, how you met, and the Bollywood story of how you guys met. So let's close now with some message that you have for the younger generation as to why they should take up the merchant navy.
Compared to the past when we used to say you can see the world, forget about it nowadays. But merchant navy still is a very rewarding career because there are very less politics involved. You don't necessarily have to be trying to make your boss happy. As long as you do your work well, uh, you can survive and do well in merchant navy. You do your exams, you get promoted. You do your job, you are fine. And you make more than enough money to go for a good holiday whenever you like. So that's a big
Yes.
advantage, because
Yes.
if you do non-resident status, then your money as per present tax laws is still tax-free. It's more of hard-working job than requiring so much great academic excellence. We don't necessarily need guys with 90% IIT grade research scholars into shipping. A guy with 65% marks who's willing to put in a lot of hard work would do fine in merchant navy.
Right.
That is my viewpoint. I don't want
Very well said.
absolutely
Very well said.
low grade people in, because you are handling a lot of technical stuff, but it's still requiring a lot of hands on concentrated work, especially on tankers, any kind of tanker, whether it's chemical, oil or gas. It requires a lot of concentrated effort to run those ships well.
Seema, why do you think girls today should start getting interested in the merchant navy? Is that a career you would say is suitable for girls in the first place? And what can they make of it?
I think girls nowadays they are doing everything. Like they are into everything. So why not
Yes.
girls?
Why not girls here? And if they cannot find a suitable job, they can always marry a sailor.
Yeah.
That's another way of getting into the merchant navy.
Yes.
And yes, and I think uh, that's something also to consider if you like. But of course, the merchant navy life is a little difficult, at least in the
But,
beginning.
it makes
But yes,
for wives it makes them more stronger and independent.
independent as well. Yes, and people like Seema picked up making cakes over there, so anything can happen.
No, she also picked up a bit of radar plotting on the armpit.
Okay,
To keep watches with me, and then she'll say, I can see a light there. Now you figure out what it is.
Very nice. So I must thank the Chhabras for having come here today, spoken to us, and spoken to you guys, the viewers, and brought about more an enlightenment of the merchant navy life and how well it has done for them. Please be with us whenever you can. We love to release our videos every Friday. But before we say bye bye to the Chavras, here sir is a little mug for you. आपकी कॉफी के लिए, ये सीमा आपकी कॉफी के लिए, and thank you for being with us once again. Viewers, every Friday, don't forget, anchored together.
Thank you, Kamal.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Let's see how well you know her. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you a question over here. What is her mother's date of birth? When is her mother?
29th of December.
Whoa, क्या बात है? Is right?
He has to have it right.
Can't go wrong over here. Right. And when is her parents' wedding anniversary?
August, 13th August.
That is yours.
Her parents.
My parents is 13th May.
Okay.
The date is the same. The date is the same. Mind you, the date is the same of his parents and my parents, but it's just mine is May and his is August.
So partially correct, eh?
Yeah,
He is
partially.
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 Right? He remembered the day very well.
Yes,
So
yes,
ठीक है.
yes,
Good
absolutely.
enough. आप पास हो गए sir.